What's gone wrong with Manchester United this season? A team that I think most people assumed would be a little better than they were last season. And they're not. They spent £200 million this summer on forwards. And a new goalkeeper who we actually haven't seen. But it's... I have tried. I have tried to defend Ruben Amorim. I've tried to realize the goal, the structure that he's trying to implement, but unfortunately, I don't see him lasting at this job. I actually think he'll be fired relatively soon, considering how things are going. 8 wins in 31 games is absolutely embarrassing. The Europa League loss, the Europa League final loss, was embarrassing. The summer transfer window was actually a step in the right direction, but they still failed to fix the most important aspect of their team, which was, I think, not the forward line. It was the midfield. If you go into a season with 33, 34-year-old Casemiro and a forward-thinking Bruno Fernandes as your double pivot in the Premier League, you need legs, you need energy, you need grit, you need players that can get around the pitch, control the game, and do both sides of the game equally. It's anything but that. And that goes down to the manager. That the players are obviously not good enough, but the manager as well, he needs to be put or asked some serious questions as to why the team has started off the way that they have. The Arsenal game, they played well. But the thing is with Manchester United, and this is the unfortunate set of circumstances that the team finds themselves in, is that apparently if you give effort in a game, even though you lose, you deserve your flowers. That's not good enough. If this team wants to be a Champions League team again, they need to continue to strip this bare bones, because at this point, I can't tell you what the issue is. I can't. We've spent years having this conversation. Is it the manager? Is it the ownership? Is it the players? It's everything. The fans at this point, I've never seen a season where Manchester United fans have zero expectations. I mean, zero expectations. None. They have no Europe to look forward to. They're out of the Carabao Cup after losing to Grimsby on penalties. They have 4 points from 4 games. They're playing Chelsea next at home. They'll probably lose that. I seriously don't understand what the goal here is. Ruben Amorim is basically asking to get sacked, saying that he won't change his ways, that if the United hierarchy don't like what they're seeing, then get rid of the man. That's kind of almost like a man asking to get put out of his misery. He kind of hinted at this at the end of the Grimsby game. It almost looked like he was going to resign, the words that were coming out of his mouth. So if the manager has no faith, then how are the players going to have faith? I think there is the issue that I have with this season so far for Man United is I'm kind of looking at it from the managerial perspective, where I don't think he needs to be fired. I think he needs to change his words. He needs to invoke a sense of urgency. He has to change the belief in these players, and he's not doing that. He is essentially saying, I'm spent. I don't know what else I can do with these guys. I've tried to motivate them. I've tried to win with them. I've tried to, but he hasn't changed it to actually what might benefit this team, and that is maybe a formational change. The system obviously doesn't work. He doesn't have the right midfield. He doesn't have the right defense. And the goalkeeper is still shady, which, again, they brought in a new goalkeeper from Belgium, but is that guy going to be the next Manuel Neuer, the next Alisson Becker? I don't know. He could be. David De Gea? I don't know. But they need to change it. They do. And looking at the Manchester City game in particular, it just reeked of, honestly, managerial suicide. You play 2 in midfield. Ugarte, who's awful on the ball. Sure, he has the legs, but he's awful on the ball. Practically useless in possession, honestly. He is one of the worst on-the-ball midfielders in the Premier League, in my opinion, and maybe there's some stats to back that up. He is abysmal. He is not good in this team. He shouldn't be anywhere near this team, but unfortunately, that's what they have. Casemiro, he's old. You can't depend on him. Yes, he's lost some weight. Sure, he's taking better care of himself physically. He is nowhere near good enough to be in the starting 11. Bruno Fernandes now, I'm starting to have question marks, and it's not down to the player. It's down to the system. He is not a guy that you pair in a two. He simply is not that player. He's not a guy to do the defensive side of the game. He is always looking forward. He needs to create. He needs to have someone behind him to get the best out of him. And unfortunately, Ruben Amorim, whether he's right or wrong, whether he's going to live and die by the sword, apparently, he is being incredibly stubborn. Because just like his players, they view one thing in their own right. He is viewing his own thing in his own right. And unfortunately, what happens is you get the butting of heads. You get players that lose track and lose faith in the system. And there's players that have left that are already making a mark. Right? And now, say what you want about Manchester United. It's been years of lackluster, boring, predictable, poor teams. It has. The last decent team that they had was Jose Mourinho's second season when he finished second. After that, it was just kind of like, it didn't feel like there was a plan. You know, they had that one summer where they bring in Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho and all these other guys. It just felt like they were trying to build an all-star team. When in reality, you need to build a team. You need to build a team. You know? And Ineos, in their own right, they haven't been good enough either with their decision-making. Why did you invest in 3 forwards accumulated to 200 million pounds when you evidently need a goalkeeper? You need a defender. You need a midfielder. You need 2 midfielders because you can't play these guys together. They're going to get run off the pitch. And the Manchester City game was exactly that. It was City finding spaces in between United's, lines in between their midfield and the defense. Jeremy Doku playing in positions that he never plays in because it was so easy to get around that United midfield. There's no legs, no energy. It just looks entirely disconnected. And the unfortunate thing is that the 3 forwards that they brought are actually pretty decent, but there's nothing to connect them to. They're essentially on their own. There's no link between the midfield and the defense and the attacking line. So how are you going to build a functioning team? And that goes down to the manager. And I don't think he should get fired because what other options are there? You're going to get another guy. He's going to spend another 300 million pounds. He's going to do the same thing, and it's going to fail. They have to stick with him. I think. I like Ruben Amorim. I really do. There's a reason why he was brought in. There was a reason why Liverpool were linked with him. People forget that. And a lot of people clown, it worked out for both. You could say it worked out for Liverpool. They didn't get him because they won the league, obviously. But I wanted Ruben Amorim. I did. I thought he was a good coach. I thought his system would actually suit Liverpool's players pretty well. I think his system, if you get the right players, I think Liverpool actually had the right players to use that system. Trent as a wing back, Robertson as a wing back, whoever they would get in the market, would he get the players that he wanted? Probably would have, considering it's FSG and considering that Liverpool have a functioning, leadership recruitment policy at their team or within their club. Ruben Amorim is a very young manager being thrown into the footballing chomps of Manchester United. And that requires a level of patience, which the fans, I think, most of them, I would say, are giving this guy, because I think there is a connection between the fans and Ruben Amorim, for better or for worse. But you can't keep sacking managers expecting things to change. It's a definition of insanity. You bring in, look at the managers they brought in. You bring in David Moyes, he's gone after 8 months. You bring in Louis van Gaal, fired after the FA Cup final, which they won. They finished 5th. He's gone. You bring in Mourinho. You win the Europa League and the Carabao Cup. You fire him in his 3rd season. Well, was it? Yeah, his middle of the 3rd season almost. And honestly, Mourinho could be partly to blame for that with his toxic traits. But at the same time, it also goes down to the players because they were throwing him under the bus. You bring in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who at one point were first in the Premier League. People forget that during COVID. They actually looked pretty good. Pogba and Bruno Fernandes playing. That was probably the best football United played since Ferguson that season under Solskjaer. They finished, I want to say 2nd Um, behind behind Manchester City. They go to the Europa League final, lose. The year after, they bring in Ronaldo. They bring in all those players. He's a poor start to the season. He's gone. After that, you bring in another manager in the German fellow, who I'm forgetting his name, Ralph Ragnick. He's gone. He was supposed to be the director of football, which to this day was another poor decision made by the team. He is a fantastic footballing mind. Say what you want about his management, but in terms of recruitment and finding the right players and saying the right things, he would have been perfect. And then you bring in Erik ten Hag, and Erik ten Hag took Ajax to a Champions League semifinal, won multiple Eredivisie, however you say that, might have butchered it. Horrible recruitment, awful. Falling out with Ronaldo, bringing in trash, and he's fired. Then you bring in a young guy, and you know what? There's something about Amorim. There's something about him that is charming, something that is relatable. He seems to understand the ethos of the club. He understands the power of being Manchester United manager. And I think the one thing that's actually really sad to see is that you never want to see, as a fan, you never want to see your manager come out and also mourn with the fans and say, I feel your pain. I understand how you feel because I feel worse than you, because he is in charge of these decisions. He's in charge of putting the team out. And whether he is there at the end of the season, which I think he should be, regardless of what happens this year, because I firmly believe that United is a graveyard for managers. And if I believe, honestly, if there's anybody that can turn it around, I still believe that it's Ruben Amorim. They could lose 4-0 to Chelsea next weekend. I would still keep him. Why? Because it gets to a point where you can blame all the managers, but at the same time, let's look at the players. They're on big wages. Why play for the manager if it doesn't work out for you? You're getting paid. You're playing in a top footballing market in Manchester. You're getting paid an exuberant amount of money. The culture is to blame as well. That goes down to the players. So whether or not the United that we know will ever come back, which it probably won't, we will never see a level of dominance like that from Man United probably ever again. And that's just all sports. It's becoming increasingly more difficult for teams to, repeat in winning titles in cups. We see it in the NBA. We see it in the Premier League. Like Man City had a level of dominance that was very similar to United, but it just wasn't in that long period of time. 6 titles in 8 years is very impressive. But we probably won't see that from Pep Guardiola again, because he's also now looking a little, not dated, but he's looking a little spent. He's looking a little tired, and that's fine. He's been at the highest level for years. But with United, stick with him. Go through the pain. Go through the challenging times. It's not easy watching your team once be at the highest level drop like a stone. It's not fun to watch, but there is something exciting in that rebuilding process that United fans should embrace, because it's not going to be terrible forever. That's not how life is. It's going to get better again. Now, whether he is the right man for the job, which I think he still is, remains to be seen. But if you bring in another manager who changes the system and changes the players that he wants and tries to do something different, it's not gonna be fixed overnight. There has to be a level of patience. And I actually applaud Ineos for bringing out that statement, saying that they're going to stick with him. And they should stick with him, because the same thing will happen again. It's happened the last 5 times. You bring in a manager, they spend 300-400 million pounds, they build a system, they build the players, they get the players that they want. It doesn't work out. They don't win. They get fired. You bring in another guy, 400 million, 500 million. You build the system, doesn't work. You bring another guy. It's the same thing over and over again. Give the guy some time. And if United do win next week, that could be the thing that kickstarts their season. They could beat Chelsea. Chelsea looks beatable. They've dropped points in their last 2 games. They drew with Crystal Palace. I want to say that was the game before Brentford, right? And they also drew with Brentford 2-2. They look gettable. United had some moments against Man City where it looked a little better. And I do believe they're playing better than last season. I really do. It's kind of hard to be as shit as they were last year. And just because the points tally shows that they are 14th, they do have 4 points from 4, which is unacceptable. You also need to give the players some time to now adapt. A lot of players have gone. Garnacho's gone. Rashford's gone. Anthony's gone. Lindelof. Lindelof was gone, but a bunch of players have left. You know, Onana, finally, for the love of fucking God, he's gone. But there needs to be a level of patience. There needs to be a level of time given to this guy. But looking forward for the season, what do I think we can expect? Well, I think there's 2 outcomes to this little pickle that Manchester United find themselves in. The first being, it could actually improve, and I think it will improve. I don't think United will finish anywhere near Champions League points-wise. But there's not a reason for me to believe that they can't finish in the top 10. I think they can finish in the top 10. And the reason why I say that is because there will be a change, right? And I actually think it won't be managerial. I think it might be structure. There might be some tweaks that can be made to make this team a little better. Now, do I think that this team is going to be gunning and winning every game? Absolutely not. It's going to be very inconsistent. They could go 3 games without a win. They could win 2. They then draw 1. Then they lose 4. Like, that's how this season could go for Manchester United. And I actually naively thought that no European football would help them. But unfortunately, it's not. You know, they need that European football. They need to get that European football because financially, this team is treading dangerous fucking water. So, final point for this, the outcome. I think he stays. I don't think he's going to get fired. I think Ruben Amorim is a good coach who deserves the time. I think he does deserve the time. I know that they lost to Manchester City, but like I said earlier in the show, how many times can you keep firing somebody, expecting different results, until you stick with one person and go through the difficult moments together and you come out of it okay? What's a good season for United? If I was Ineos, right? If I was Ruben Amorim, I would go all in on the FA Cup. It's a way to get into Europe. The league will be inconsistent. January, I think he needs to be given time until the end of the season. I think they invest in January. They need to bring in some level of midfielder that can be paired with whoever. I think Bruno Fernandes's position needs to change because it's evident that the guy won't change to what this team should be playing, in my opinion, which is a 4-3-3. You need someone in behind to get the best out of Bruno Fernandes, and unfortunately, we're starting to see him slow down numbers-wise because he is not being played correctly, and he is their best player. He's the guy that creates. He's the guy that scores. He's the guy that the team galvanizes around. He needs to be playing well. If he's not playing well, this team loses games. That's how it is. So I think he stays. Final point. If he does get sacked, I have no idea who they hire. And I don't think anyone really helps it. You know, I have a feeling if he does get fired, it's going to be Gareth Southgate. Now, is that going to work out? I don't know. I really don't know. But if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, give us a comment. Let us know how you're feeling. If you're a Manchester United fan, how are you feeling? Any questions that you guys have, next episode I will make or video, I'll answer some of them. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. We'll see you soon.